Hey Teresa, let's take a look at your week 4 assignment 1 drawing. This is a good job following with the process. I think that for me, it would be nice to see just a little bit more value development in the drawing. Where you have kind of the greenery, being able to see a little bit of value being put into that, a little bit more development in the value down here, where I think you could actually go in with a few darker kind of darks in some of each of these kind of sectioned off areas, and then laying the color over so that you would have just a little bit more of the sense of shading in place than what we have right now. I think it feels like a slightly, I don't want to say rushed, but probably maybe not as in the game, your head was in the game as much as it normally is for understandable reasons. So I think that you also were saying stuff that seemed a little odd to me in terms of the process, making you feel like you were kind of rushing through it. And again, I don't know if that's just because of the circumstances of the day before, but you can take as much time as you want to with these things. I think your initial line work looks good. It's nice, it's loose, it's fairly sketchy. But as you kind of move from one step to the next, you start laying in lighter values and then darker ones. You should be kind of tightening up and adding more and more kind of detail to it. Just kind of inherently, you layer another layer on top, and that's just more detail that you're adding to it. But I think that you can take your time with this if you want to. It doesn't have to be quick. It doesn't have to be loose. This assignment in particular, we just said it because we don't want you to spend forever on the first assignment of the week. It's just to kind of get your feet wet and to figure out the basics of the process. But develop the values to your liking. Work with a 20 and a 40% gray for your first layer of lighter value, and really flesh it out. Put value where you think it needs to be everywhere, and save your highlights. But take your time, and then as you move on to the mediums and the darker values, you're able to just spend as much time as you want on that as well, and laying color on top of that. I think that some of this stuff works out well. There's a nice variety of color. I think the base kind of drawing and the base value gives everything a good foundation. But I would like to see, as we move to the next assignment, a little bit more development, like a little bit more work with some mixture of values, not just kind of a lighter gray and the outline work, but kind of developing some, for instance, the pumpkin that's here. I think with the marker, you would be able to have kind of a shadow tone. You'd be able to have kind of a medium, and then you'd have the light, and you could lay color on top of that, and that would all show through. And then you would have kind of a pumpkin that really feels like it has a lot of turn to it, and it's all being developed through the marker. But I think otherwise, it follows through with the process. The writing component is good, and I think that it's a good start. It really is for the week. Just kind of getting your first introduction into the process, I think it's a good start. So just kind of let it, settle in. Take your time. Take as much time as you need, I guess, as much as you can afford, and don't feel like you have to rush through these assignments. They can go as fast and as slow as fast or as slow as you want them to go. So don't feel like this is a process that is meant to speed up your workflow. It is just meant to make things clearer for you, to help avoid kind of costly mistakes, and to make a more flexible drawing than what we're used to with marker.